Welcome to the next episode of the Assembly Line podcast, the place where industrial businesses can tell their story and give you the tools you need to becoming an authority within your industry. Today, we're joined by Matt Thomas, Principal Consultant at Clarity VM. Clarity VM creates visual workplaces through lean principles, improving efficiency, employee engagement, and workplace safety. It's our absolute pleasure to have Matt on the podcast. Matt, welcome. How's it going?
Yeah, and it's an absolute pleasure to be joining you because you've asked me to talk about all the things I'm passionate about and love to speak about. So thank you for inviting me to join.
Of course, appreciate having you on. Okay, so let's kick things off. Andreas, would you like to go ahead with a nice easy question?
So before we get started, can you tell us a little bit more about your work at Clarity VM?
Certainly, we'd be very glad to. So Clarity was established and has continued on a mission to really make lean work. Now that's easy to say because lots of companies say we do lean, we do operational excellence, we do all these great things. However, our experience is not all those companies really realize the true benefits of real proper operational excellence. So this isn't tick box lean or operational excellence. This is actually engaging people to change their behaviors and ultimately make companies go from good to great. How do we do that? Well, there's very much two sides to the business. The side that I'm mostly involved in, although I get involved in all areas, is the knowledge empowerment, which is all to do with the people, engaging people, giving them that power to make changes and feel confident and able to do it through understanding both lean tools but also more importantly, behaviors. And that involves coaching, training, and right through to strategic help, maybe at board level, understanding how we should be deploying our operational strategy for the company. The other side we do, and this is perhaps where we're unique, is we provide as well the actual physical visual cues we need in our workplaces to engage people. So that's everything from simple tool shadow boards, the performance boards that we typically see in an operational environment, right through to very high technology, latest cutting edge solutions such as projected floor markings that can be interactive with forklifts, the visual barriers that protect people and your assets, and all the way through to even things just like the signage, way marking. Can we find a way around? Everything that gives you the ability to understand your workplace, so your workplace speaks to you visually, is what we're all about. And that's all brought together through that simple mission. Let's make lean really work.
Fantastic. It sounds like you're doing some great work with sort of manufacturing facilities and the sort across the UK at the moment. And I can't wait to get into some more detail about that a little bit later on. But before we get into that, I would really like to understand how you got to where you are today in terms of developing your passion for this particular area and the principles that you stand for at Clarity VM. What's the journey been like for you personally? What's brought you to this place as principal consultant at Clarity VM now?
Okay, well, I guess I've learned the hard way, which I think is the right way. I started out in my working career working on machines as an operator in the print industry and experiencing the good and the bad and everything in between, and know the realities of what life is about out in the shop floor. I have always been interested in process. I've always been interested in how things work right from a child. Factories are just a dream come true to me because it's everything I love. As I went through there, it was all mostly in the print industry. I left as a general manager, and by that time I've seen excellent applications of operational excellence, which, what does it do? Well, yes, it helps a company, but more importantly, it helps people. It helps them go home less stressed, able to enjoy the important things in life and their family without worrying about work, because we have a proactive, creative, and well structured way of dealing with daily challenges. I've also seen the bad. I've seen where it hasn't worked. Yeah, and so I was involved with Clarity right from the beginning. And I guess, yes, the passion we speak about is a desire to make lean work, But what really underpins it for me personally is helping people. If I can give them something that takes one frustration away, I'm happy. And that's really what's been behind it. Since being at Clarity, as obviously with any business, when you start, you end up wearing a few hats and having to juggle quite a lot of plates all at once. Thankfully, through our success, that's grown, and most of my responsibility is around delivering our consulting, coaching, and learning, and that it really does just what I want to do, which is going out and speaking to people, understanding their problems, and then most of the delivery is done by my team. I have a team that help me, but my job is to really make sure we've understood the issues, developed a correct methodology to solve them, and we're putting in the right people to solve those issues, and then following up to make sure it's delivered. However, I do also get involved on our other side, providing experience as a subject matter experience on the visual management, having been involved and having been a speaker at many events on this subject. It's, if you like, a bit of a speciality of mine. So I'm very happy to talk about anytime. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, of course. That's great, Matt. Thanks for sharing some of your experiences throughout that journey. Can definitely see the passion as you're talking through that story. Can you tell me, as someone involved directly, in sales and marketing within Clarity VM, could you share a little bit about your overall approach towards that?
Well, I'm conscious that the audience here often would be selling and engaging through marketing with an environment which is always busy. So the reality is the people that we need to engage with, and the rest of the audience listening to this, are people that, if the production line or the operations or the projects are running, they're really busy because they've got to keep that going. If they're not running, they stopped or whatever it might be, even more pressure because everybody is waiting to see how quickly we can get it back up. And really, that means our audience is really, really busy. They're what we would call busy billies. They're just always busy. So if we're going to engage with them, they're not interested in what everybody else might be doing out there, saying we offer good service, good prices, good this, good that. They just want you to get to the point and provide something that is going to make a difference to them. So to do that, as far as strategy and how I think this has got to happen, is you've got to understand the company, absolutely, but you've got to understand them personally. And that it means that your sales and marketing has got to be very much delivered around what really is it that's keeping them awake at night, and then making sure that you're delivering into that, not just a preconceived solution because this is the product we do. And I think that's probably underlies what we try and do. Hope that helps.
I think that's some great points there, to be honest, Matt. And I think it really reflects the industry as a whole and the types of individuals that we're dealing with. When we look at leveraging marketing to educate that audience, what are some of the things that you might do as a business and uptake in terms of really ensuring that your audience understands the benefits of visual workplaces and these lean principles?
Well, I think one of the important things is to tell a story. Everybody loves a story, and I think the best way to do that is often through case studies, where you can actually share tangible benefits. Now, some people say with lean and operational excellence, the area we work in, a lot of the benefits aren't tangible, and that I get that because we do a lot that you wouldn't actually be able to see with your eyes. It's about growing people, it's about changing mindsets, which is not something you see, it's perhaps something more you feel. But I think nowadays we've got so much available to us in the way of sharing stories. So video content where you can hear people talk about it is so powerful, and formats like we're doing today, I think, mean a lot more in this day and age. When we're driving with time, time is our most precious resource. If you can provide your audience with content that's meaningful to them, I think that's very valuable. But I do think also you've got to be able to differentiate. Yeah, just being the same as we may have always heard and been is not going to work in this day and age.
Yeah, absolutely. I just something that I really enjoy with your marketing at Clarity VM, and I think this is a kind of almost a brainchild of the whole team on your side of things, is the real life imagery. And I know you've mentioned video content, but you do really show what's happening behind the scenes, and I really don't think enough businesses do that. So I'd be interested to hear your rationale for showing behind the scenes, introducing this real life photography into your strategy. Because for me, as someone that's viewing that, it certainly makes a massive difference.
Good. I'm glad you asked about that, because it's something I feel very strongly about. And it's probably something I've had to learn in my career. I'm probably brought up in a family business prior to, in the early part of my career, where was that traditional mindset that RIP, we must protect, don't tell anyone anything. Forget that. It's gone. The day of age of trying to keep everything and you only reveal your secrets to the select few is out of date, because the internet's there. They'll find out anyway. Share everything, obviously with some sensibilities commercially. And I believe everything in life, what you put into it, you get out of it. So if you're giving your audience, your clients, valuable information, they'll want to share with you, and they'll tell you what their real problems are, more than just talking about yourselves and your company and how great you are. Give them real life and give them evidence of that you're doing it. You know, they want to see, even if it's not perfect, it's probably 100 times better than something they've seen before. So let them see it, let them do it. Yeah, and I guess the one important thing is we do have to respect that the confidentiality of clients, and we would always make sure that we're not sharing anything they're not happy with. So anything you have seen is after asking permission. So that's the only caveat I'd say. But other than that, share content, share images, and you'll win.
I completely agree with you, Matt, and it's very refreshing to hear, someone, a leader within the industry, share that and talk so passionately about it, because so many, I would say, would have the opposite opinion or would not want to share things, and it's very powerful when you do have that transparency. We talked a little bit before about how you can, leverage marketing, let's say through story, to share how businesses can value the visual workplace and lean principles. But educating someone is one thing, but convincing them is another. So can you talk to me a little bit about some effective sales techniques or strategies, let's say, for Clarity VM that you use to convince businesses, to adopt this lean and visual management practice?
Yeah, well, maybe what I would say on that is, to some extent, we look for companies that already have in their leadership a desire to change. If we don't see that, actually, we're probably not going to change their mind if they've got no desire to change. We're looking for companies that are prepared to go the hard yards to make a difference. If they're happy with the way they are, we're probably not the right people to speak to, because we're about making changes for the better. So I would say that part of it. But beyond that, there is a lot of misunderstandings about the methodology that we use and we would encourage in operational excellence. And I think it's around making people realize that it's what we're looking for is a journey that's long lasting. It's not about some of the things that companies maybe have given the label of lean or operational excellence, and educating people that this is actually about growing your people. Yeah, and if you look after people, the profits will look after themselves. So the old way of just saying we'll come in and create your profits, well, you're then setting yourself up to fail, because you actually might just do short-term things to give a feeling that you've delivered a win on profit, but that might not actually help the company long-term. You might actually take stuff out that would actually undermine the long-term success. If you grow the people and you're engaging those people with the right behaviors, you're putting them on a journey that will be a long-term success. And it won't just be a success for the time you're engaged with that company. You'll be changing them for good, and hopefully giving them a chance to go from good to great.
That's a fantastic point. And it's really good to hear that obviously you're going out there and you're searching for these accounts whilst obviously distributing these messages, seeking to help people understand that there is a different way of doing things. There's a better way, there's a newer way for them to be managing their operations. We all like talking about the things that go well, and I think as humans, that's obviously a good thing. But for me, where the interest lies is kind of what can we learn from the things that hasn't worked. So from your perspective, what are some techniques or strategies that you've employed as a business over the years? It might have been when you first started, that maybe haven't worked as you expected, or didn't yield the results that you were expecting or looking for.
Yes, well, I guess like many of us, we've had to learn a lot from our mistakes, and yeah, we all happily say that we've been on a journey ourselves. We've had to realize that perhaps some of the ideas we had at the beginning, we've had to adjust and change. And I guess there's a couple of points. One I'd make here. One is I'm a visual thinker. I love what's visual, and my focus when I started, yes, my passion was to make lean work, but it was mostly about the visual cues and the products and the tool shadow boards and performance boards. However, yes, underlying that was this desire to see companies adapt lean behaviors and be more efficient. What we soon realized is if that was our mission, the products alone are not going to deliver it, which meant that we had to address that. There's nothing more disheartening to put in a board that you know is the right solution for the company. It may even be something as simple as a tool shadow board, but there's nothing more disheartening to go in 6 months later and that board, maybe a tool shadow board, have not a single tool on it, what we call a naked shadow board. Yet it's embarrassing for the shadow board, it's embarrassing for us, it's embarrassing for them. And that is about people. So that is why we developed our offering to look at what can we do to engage and empower the people. And that's where we developed the coaching training side. And then when you've got both things together, and I think that was a learning for us, that if our mission is that don't just go along the line that you think will solve it, look at the whole picture. And the formula that we go by is people plus process equals performance. And I think we've now got that. And I think the success that we're achieving today is based on the fact that we've got the people and the process aligned and building both of those up to give better performance.
Absolutely, that seems like a very powerful message. And just going back a little bit in terms of what we were talking about, convincing people, and perhaps the leadership team is something that's the most difficult to crack. That sounds to me like it would require, having, let's say, your marketing or your sales very aligned in terms of the messaging that's going out there to the customer or the prospects. So can you talk to me a little bit about how do you manage this at Clarity VM? How do you achieve that sales and marketing alignment?
Well, I guess the audience listening to this might be selling or offering very different products or services, but I think you've touched on an important point. Whatever it is, if you haven't engaged the leadership, you're not going to get very far, because at the end of the day, your success will only be pinned to whoever it is you've convinced in the company, not necessarily the leadership team, and that's going to change it on the long term. So how do you do that? Well, I think it goes back to the people. You need to understand that leadership team, understand the individuals, get under the surface, what is really their pain points, and what is their aspirations for the company. What is the culture they're trying to create? A lot of people ask us to come in and say, the leadership team say, oh, we're really struggling with culture. Can you change the culture? Well, actually, what I'd say to them is that's for the leadership to do, is to decide the culture. What we can do is change the behaviors that will make sure that culture actually happens and thrives and grows. So we can work with the people, but we need the leadership to show the way, to be leaders. And I think what we can do is help coach that leadership through our sales and marketing to understand how that journey should look and what they can expect to experience, which prepares them then really to engage with us, because they're seeing it more of a partnership and a journey than just somebody coming along and rocking up on their latest idea. So
yeah, of course. Really interesting. I really like that idea of achieving both that kind of horizontal buy-in for the key stakeholders that you're looking to convince, but also that almost vertical buy-in in terms of you need the people to be on the shop floor to be solely focused around the fact that this is for their benefit, for their safety, all the way to the top. So I really see that as obviously being important for yourselves. A final question before we finish up, Matt, that I'm really interested to hear your opinion on is for any sort of industrial businesses out there that are looking to really fine tune their marketing. What's one piece of advice that you'd give them to level up and push forward with their growth?
There's so many different things we could say, but I'm afraid I will go back to what I've heard through most of the podcast, is connect with the people. Businesses buy from people, don't buy from businesses, that people buy from people. And I think if you can win their emotions, you'll then convince them. So you've got to understand their emotions. What is it that's keeping them awake at night, perhaps? And then you've then got to show how you can solve it for them personally. And if you can show them how that will help them personally, the logical side of the sale, they'll look after, as long as you just supply them with the right information. People buy emotionally first. They will engage with you emotionally first. Your marketing purely needs to be just giving the information they need to make that logical conclusion that there's nothing else they can do other than to close that deal with you.
That's a fantastic point, and I think a great one to close on. Just before we finish up today, where can people find out more about yourself and the team at Clarity VM?
Well, you're very welcome to our website. We'd love to meet you there. That's clarityvm.com. And there's lots of valuable content, lots of case study videos and other information. But true to everything I've said, please don't just stay on the website. Pick up the phone, speak to us, reach out to us, message us. We want to talk to you. We want to talk to you personally. We want to come and meet you if we can. That's what we're all about. We're about finding out more about you. So don't just stay on the website. Please visit it, but make the next step and actually reach out. We'd love to speak to you.
Fantastic point to finish, Matt. And again, appreciate your time. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.